Greetings, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 20th, 2018 at 9:08 a.m. I just had the day off today, and I thought I would come to you with a pen unboxing and to share a collection of my rollerball pens with you. If you'll remember, I did that video that was beginning fountain pens, what to look for in a fountain pen if you want to start out with that particular type of pen. But I'm sure there were many of you out there who thought, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not a fountain pen person. And a lot of people aren't. Most people aren't even pen people these days. So I have a collection of roller balls that I wanted to share with you that are very nice, fun pens from a company called Retro 51. And I just thought this might be an alternative for those of you who might like a nice pen but just aren't into the fountain pen thing for whatever reason, or who aren't even interested in the fountain pen thing for whatever reason. Retro 51 is a company whose motto is "Life is too short to carry an ugly pen." They have different collections. They create rollerball / ballpoints. And I say it that way because it just depends on which refill you use. If you like a ballpoint, you put a ballpoint refill in it. Rollerball / ballpoints, and they make mechanical pencils and also fountain pens. And I do actually have a Retro 51 fountain pen that is en route that kind of, you'll see in a little while when I talk about that one, why it kind of goes with my rollerballs, even though it's a fountain pen. But basically they make all these different themed pens. They do ones for charity, like the current animal rescue collection pen is called Buzz. And it literally looks like a honeycomb with bees on it, and it's to raise money for Northwest Bee Habitat Conservancy. They've done dog and cat pens before for animal shelters. They do limited editions, limited number editions. They also do special editions, which is where they collaborate with pen retailers, which the new one I've got is a special edition for a specific retailer. And they're special editions. Let's see if I want to make sure I've got this right. They're limited editions that are numbered. There's a specific quantity, and once those are gone, they're gone. But they do have numbered editions, which it's part of their regular pen cycle. And then their special editions, I think, are limited to a certain number of pens. And I actually got into collecting these this year. I only had one until May, and now this is going to be my 6th one. They're infinitely more affordable than some fountain pens. A Retro 51 rollerball will cost you anywhere between $40 and $60, which I know some of you are like $40 to $60 for a pen. That's ridiculous. But they're kitschy, they're fun, they write beautifully, and it's like any other collection. It's worth whatever money to you want to put into it. So I just thought I would first share with you my collection as it stands, and then we'll unbox my new Retro 51 so you can see how they're packaged, because they're really packaged in a rather cool manner, if that even matters to you. I just think it's cool. So I keep my Retro 51 collection in this cute little pen and notebook pouch. I believe I got it from Elizabeth Newton. Her husband runs Newton Pens and makes handmade fountain pens, and she makes pen cases. And of course the vintage robots on here, I just had to, because I love vintage robots. Thought this one was cute. And this pen pouch actually holds some pocket notebooks, and then as you can see, I've got a bunch of, I wouldn't put that many fountain pens in here if I were going to use it, just to keep them from, clunking too much in the case. But these are all my roller balls. So, well, they're not all my roller balls. There's a couple of other pens in there that have nothing to do with my Retro 51 collection. But actually, I think one of my pens is in my purse, so I think I'm going to pause this and go grab it, because I think I threw my Star Spangled Banner one in. Let's see. Yeah, that other one is in my purse, so I'm going to pause this for a second and come right back and show you this pen collection. Okay, I'm back. I just realized I left one of my pens in my purse because I was using it at work last week and just threw it in my purse. And I haven't been back to work yet this week, which is a long story for another video, but anyway. So Retro 51s come in a couple of different models. They do have fountain pens, as I said. They have a classic line, which is just solid colored roller balls and fountain pens. They have the vintage Metalsmith, which are the ones that I collect. I just kind of happened that was the model I started collecting. They have the Tornado, which is their basic model shape. But they have several different kinds. And like I said, they design on various themes. This year they have an officially licensed Kiss collection, which is 3 pens. One of them actually has the picture of the band with their official logo. One of them is a silver barrel with like their face paint designs on it. And I can't remember what the other pen in the collection is, but they've got a 3-pen collection for Kiss fans. They've done one that was a collection. It was beer, wine, and absinthe. They've done a cigar collection, I think, in the past. They've done like I know they've done like a cat and dog rescue shelter charity pen. They've got a great one called Dr. Gray that has a skeleton on it that glows in the dark. That's a really cool pen if you're into that kind of thing. It looks like a page out of a medical textbook, and it's got a skeleton on it and it glows in the dark. They've also just recently started a new collection of officially licensed pens through the Smithsonian, and their first one, it's gorgeous. It's a representation of the African American History and Culture Museum, and it looks just like the building. And if you know anything about the building, or if you don't, I'll tell you real quickly. The outside of the museum is made to look like iron that was produced by slaves in Louisiana and a couple of other iron-producing states. And it's supposed to represent that iron work. And so the pen is supposed to represent the building, which represents the contributions of slaves to the economies of Louisiana and several other states. So they're starting a Smithsonian collection with that one, and it is beautiful. It's a beautiful pen. And it looks just like the building, too, which is cool. As I mentioned, they do special collaborations with certain pen retailers. Anderson Pens just recently opened a branch office in Chicago. And Chicago is important to them not only because of their new satellite store, but because they got married. Brian and Lisa got married there at the Chicago Pen Show. I think it's been 8 years now, 8 years ago. So Chicago is a very important part of their lives. And they wanted to have a commemorative Chicago pen that they could sell in their Chicago store. And it's beautiful. Retro 51 collaborated with them to build this pen. I do have some Farney's pens, collaborative pens here that I'll show you in a moment, that are all kind of my variations on a theme. But I thought I'd show you the pen that started this whole thing. Now, granted, I did not start collecting these until this year. Let me try to make sure my camera's okay. Sorry, guys. But the very first Retro 51 I ever bought, I actually didn't buy from the Andersons, even though I heard about it through them, because they couldn't, this was a limited edition and they couldn't get a hold of any. But this is the 2015 Tornado Pigskin. And of course, with it being a football, of course I was going to buy it. It's a really pretty little pen. It's got a little bit bigger diameter than the others just because it's supposed to look like a football. And this was a limited edition actually. And I actually got this through Gold Spot Pens online because, like I said, it was the only place I could find this particular pen because it was limited. And I got 159, and I also bought one for Coach Whipple, and I don't think he's ever used it, but I know he appreciated it. The way you get the point to come out is just rotate the top, and you can have it either as a, is that going to focus? Probably, there we go. You can have either a roller ball or a ballpoint. This is the Tornado model. Very simple shape. It's not very heavy at all. The clips are made like, what do they call it? There's a specific term for this kind of clip, and it just makes it easier to go into a pen pouch. So I bought this one in 2015. This was a part of a series of limited edition pens they made that were sports related. I believe they had a basketball and a baseball as well. But of course, for obvious reasons, I wanted the football. So this was the only Retro 51 I had for a while. And then I went to the Long Island Pen Show this year, and I saw Brian and Lisa. And they do carry Retro 51s at the store. They even carry, I think, wood case pencils. I mean, they try to keep it where it's pens and fine writing instruments. 98% of their stock is fountain pens, but they also cater to people who just want a nicer pen but don't necessarily want a fountain pen. And when we were in Long Island, I was determined I wasn't going to buy anything there because I was going to visit their store in May up in Appleton, Wisconsin. But I did some window shopping while I was in Long Island, and they had this beauty. And I knew that I wanted to buy this one from Brian and Lisa. This is the Betsy. This is a Tornado, and it is the Metalsmith collection. The Metalsmith collection is Americana. They have this is the Betsy. They also have a copper Lincoln, which to me isn't anything special. It's just a copper pen. They have the Roosevelt, which has a herringbone pattern. Again, if you didn't know it was dedicated to FDR, there'd be no reason to really have that pen. I mean, you wouldn't know if you didn't buy it and know what it was. You wouldn't necessarily know. They have a Statue of Liberty. They had the Betsy, which I just think is cool. I love anything patriotic, so naturally that ticks all the buttons. And it's an antique brass finish, and it looks like one of the first colonial flags. Because this part, the barrel it's not red and white. It's red and like a beige to make it look like an aged old flag, which is very cool, I think. So this was the first one I bought since I bought the football one. And you can see, if you look at the football one, you can see what I mean about the football one has more diameter to it. These are the actual size of the Tornadoes if you collect the Tornado model. But this one was a little bit different. It was a little bit bigger through here because it was supposed to represent the shape of a football. But most of the Retro 51s are the slimmer pens like this. So yeah, the Betsy. So I knew I was going to buy this when I went up to Wisconsin in May. I love writing with this one. So this is a Retro 51 Tornado. And this one's just part of their standard lineup. It's not a special or limited edition. However, the next three I'm going to show you are in the same line, the Americana, the Metalsmith line, but these are exclusive to a company called Farney's Pens. And Farney's Pens is in Washington, D.C., right smack in the middle of downtown on F Street Northwest. They have sold pens to politicians. I'm not sure if they are the ones who supply the presidents with fountain pens. I don't think they are. I do know that they've provided pens to politicians. And I do know that Donald Trump signs everything with a giant-ass Sharpie and not a rollerball or a fountain pen. So I'm pretty sure they haven't given him any pens. But they have a series of patriotic pens that are in the Metalsmith line that were exclusive to their store. Now, you can still buy them. They're not a limited edition, but they're a special edition because Farney's is the only one you can find these in. And actually, I just got my Farney's catalog, and they're still advertising a couple of these, but you can only buy them through that company. So when I got back, I follow Retro 51 on their Twitter feed, and of course they were putting out all their press releases because this was the time of year, this early summer is when they start putting out their new 2018 pens. And I followed the link to the I guess it was one of Farney's link or something. And I started looking around. I think it was when the Buzz came out, but I didn't really want the Buzz. But I was looking, and I found these exclusive Americana pens at Farney's. And, of course, I was like, well, I need to collect these. So Not trying to make a political point, folks, so don't get peeved at me for this. The Farnese Retro 51 exclusive. Let's see, can I get up closer? The lighting in here is terrible, so it's not gonna. The Star Spangled Banner. Now, because this is a Farnese exclusive, the Farnese name is on the end cap. And it's got the first verse of the Star Spangled Banner on it. Well, of course, if the Betsy ticked all the boxes, naturally the Star Spangled Banner was going to tick all the boxes. Not going any further than that, just saying. So then the next one I purchased, this is similar to the fountain pen that I ordered this week. This is the Presidential Signatures, which is also a Farnese exclusive. And it's got the signatures of all 45 presidents on it, which is really cool. I don't know. I just think it's cool to have the presidential signatures on a pen. You know, it's somehow inspirational for that. And it's a brushed brass type end cap. And I just like the look of this one too. It's just really cool, but it's got every single president. So, yeah, okay, so I named these pens to dork that way. This is Whip for Coach Whipple. Obviously, this one is actually named Betsy, so she stays Betsy. This one I call Frank because Francis Scott Key wrote the national anthem. This one is George for George Washington. And then the next one I named Molly for Molly Pitcher, which you'll see. And I kind of tend to write with this one when I'm in a snarky and or bad mood because it just gets the point across so well. This is the Gadsden flag pen exclusive to Farnese. And of course, the Gadsden flag is the Don't Tread on Me with the snake, the yellow flag, Liberty or Death, Don't Tread on Me. This is the third in the Farnese Americana Metalsmith lineup. I tend to write with this one when I'm in a mood and I'm just trying to tell people to stay away from me. But the Gadsden flag I named Molly because I could have named it Chris after Christopher Gadsden, who was the one who designed the Gadsden flag, which coincidentally is technically the first American flag because it was the first like battle flag of the Revolution, if you want to call it that. But I'm going with Molly Pitcher because I needed another woman to represent in a pen, so Betsy and Molly. And then I've got Frank and George. So that's my collection as it stands. Now, as far as the pencils go, this is the 2015. I don't think this one was actually a limited edition or anything. You could probably still get it, but this is the Retro 51 Tornado pencil. And this was a Sudoku one that actually looks like a Sudoku puzzle. And when you buy the pencils, you get a series of erasers and lead replacements, but you can also order the erasers and the lead replacements from Retro 51 on their website. The thing I love about these pencils is they have a massive lead. I don't know how well that's going to show up, but it's a 1.1 millimeter lead. And as heavy-handed as I am when I write, I like a big lead like that because, you know, like the little leads in like the little jinky disposable pencils and all, they snap like twigs when I write with them because I kind of get a little heavy-handed. So this lead will stand up to my writing. They do have a new pencil out right now called the Dimitri, and it's the periodic table. And I'm actually going to get that for my nephew because he's starting the engineering governor's school in the fall. Of course, he probably wouldn't be able to have that anywhere near the school on test day, but it's called the Dimitri because Dmitry Mendeleev created well, he didn't invent the periodic table, he just finished it to its current form. So Mendeleev gets the credit for the periodic table, even though other people kind of started putting the whole thing together, and then he was like, no, this is the best arrangement, here we go, and gave us the final of the periodic table. So those are my Retro 51 pens as they stand. This one I ordered a couple of months ago from Mike Dudek, who runs Dudek Modern Goods. He at one point he didn't make pens, I don't believe, but he made pen holders and pen stands. I believe he's taken a break from that for a while, but he did a collaboration with Retro 51 called The System. And this has nothing to do with any of the rest of the theme of my collection. Although I meant to say the fountain pen, the reason why this is kind of the compatriot to the fountain pen that I'm getting is the fountain pen I'm getting is a broad-nibbed copper pen with the signatures of all the signers of the Declaration of Independence on it. So that's kind of the companion pen to this one. And they also have it in a pencil and a roller ball too. But so it's kind of the presidential signature companion, but it's a copper pen. It's really pretty. It's a copper pen. It's got the big John Hancock and all the signers of the Declaration of Independence on it. So when you receive a Retro 51, they come in these cool tubes. Actually, I'll recycle that box later. I don't know why I threw it in the trash. So this is a special edition created specifically for Mike Dudek called the System. And you see that they come in these tubes. They're really sturdy cardboard, so you know your pen is safe when it ships. And I just love their logo. Life's too short to carry an ugly pen. This is true, isn't it? I mean, if you're going to use a pen, you might as well use something other than a jinky big stick pen that's going to be a crappy experience. So this is the System. Already guess it's space themed. And when you get them, they come in this plastic pouch so that you know everything is. Now this is a special numbered edition, which does not mean it's limited. Well, it's only limited because you can't buy it from anyone other than Mike Dudek. But this one, I have number 868, and I think he had 1,000 of them made. Because this is actually the second go round of this pen for him because it was so popular the first time he collaborated with Retro 51 that he basically just totally underestimated the people who would want this, and he sold out like in an hour or two when he first posted about it. So we've got the solar system, we've got the representation of the solar system, but the coolest part is way up here. There's the word Pluto. Pluto's just hanging out by itself, not a planet anymore, but still part of the solar system. And then we've got the sun is on the end cap. And this is just a sleek, I like this. I like the fact that it's all black. And it's just really, really cool. I thought this was beautiful. I mean, it's got all the orbits of the planets, and then it's got little sad Pluto back there. Not even a planet anymore, Pluto. Just a goofy dog in a Disney cartoon. So that one rounds out my collection. And this probably, once I get the fountain pen, that's probably all I'm going to buy. Because I don't really need any more roller balls. But then again, I mean, you don't really need more than one of anything, do you, when you collect them? Oh, and I meant to say, when you get your pen, you get the little Retro 51 booklet. And it will tell you, I love this because this reminds me of my father when he used to work when I was a teenager, and he'd come home looking like he'd been shot because he put a pen in his chest pocket. And it says, your roller pen is loaded with the state-of-the-art liquid ink cartridge. Please make sure it is fully retracted when not in use to prevent ink stains. My father should have had this taped to his forehead when he worked, because even with jinky ballpoints, he'd put them in his pocket and forget to put the cap on or something. And I remember one day, he was using a red pen, I guess, to edit something at work. And he did that, and he got an ink stain, so he went to the cafeteria, and the cafeteria worker tried to help him get the stain out, only she made it worse, and she made the ink bleed, so he literally looked like he'd been shot when he came home, because he had this giant red stain that was like dripping down his shirt. And I don't know what she tried to do to get it off, but it didn't work. It made it worse. So I like that they give you the little, by the way, don't forget to retract your pen or you're going to have a mess. I like that. And so then you get the little Retro 51 booklet. It says, your shiny new pen has traveled thousands of miles from one hand to the next only to end up in yours. Lucky you. We've worked hard crafting this fine writing instrument with many hands contributing to the end piece you now hold. Whether you received it as a gift or it was a personal purchase, we hope you recognize this is more than just a pen, but an accoutrement of life, a token of hard work. From our hands to yours, the journey continues, and we truly hope you enjoy it. And it tells you about roller balls. It says a majority of our tornadoes come equipped with a roller ball, which contains cutting-edge liquiding technology that saturates the paper upon touch. The rollerball pen was initially designed to combine the convenience of a ballpoint with the smooth, quote, wet ink effect of a fountain pen. Now, note that a rollerball refill will not last as long as the Easy Flow ballpoint because of the liquid ink, which is true. But I mean, that's why when you ink a fountain pen, if you use it today and then you don't use it for 5 days, it's half empty because all the water and the ink evaporated. Not really any big deal. So then they have a page dedicated to their online social media. You know, they have Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook. And then they talk about the Tornado, which was that was their flagship pen. And it says that in 1997, they introduced a pen named the Tornado in 3 colors, red, blue, and black, in the classic lacquer finish. Since that date, we've added numerous styles and designs to the Tornado collection. They come in different materials, colors, sizes, and modes of writing. But see, there's a picture of like the original ones. And you can still get these just simple lacquered ones if you don't want anything fancy. You know, you could still get a really nice roller ball that's just a plain color, just to suit whatever you like. And then it gives you the refills that you would need for the roller balls, the Tornado roller balls, the big shots, and the snappers, which are the other 2 variations. And then they show you the Tornado fountain pen and how to fill it. It's either a cartridge or converter pen. I bought a converter to go in mine. That's the thing. If you buy the fountain pen, you have to buy the converter separately. But it might be nice to, you know, just have cartridge pens. And then there is the Slim Tornado, which the Slim are the ones like I showed you that are like the smaller versions. But it's the same basic shape. Some women who have smaller hands like slimmer pens. I mean, I know that in the pen community, a lot over the past couple of years, pen companies have taken a lot of crap about creating separate women's and men's pen lines. Now, I totally get the Bic thing because all that Bic did was slap some pink on a ballpoint barrel and call it a woman's pen. So I can understand people's indignation about that because I'm like, don't market a pink pen to me and tell me it's a woman's pen when it's the exact same damn pen that a man would use, except he's probably not going to use a pink pen. So I get that, but in the traditional lexicon of like fountain pens, there were always men's and women's pens because the women's pens were a bit smaller, given that women probably have smaller hands, you know, and you didn't want a big bulky fountain pen if you were a woman. So to some degree, I can see the indignation about women's pens, but then if you look at it in a vintage historical perspective, I'm just like, oh, shush, just don't even. So anyway, that is it for my rollerball collection. I will put the link to the website in the description box below, and they have a little catalog. It's basically a PDF that shows you the KISS pen, the Smithsonian pens, the Dimitri, their regular Tornadoes. I think they've still got the alcoholic beverages series. I know they still have the Dr. Gray, and the Dimitri just came out as a mechanical pencil. So yeah, it's a fun thing to collect. I didn't mean to start collecting them, and I'm probably not going to go any further. I have given my husband a couple. Back a couple of years ago, they created the Andersons created the Terabyte, which was like a circuit board. And it was an Anderson Pens exclusive, and I got that for my husband because he uses computers a lot in his work. And then I just ordered him one of the Metalsmith Americana ones that's the P51, the P51 Mustang, because he loves vintage naval and Air Force and all that, vintage military aviation vehicles. So they made one that's a gorgeous representation of a P51 Mustang. So he's got a couple of them. Then he was like, you know, it would be really cool if they had a fire truck, because being a Retro 51 for like a fire truck for Station 51 from the TV show Emergency. So I pitched to them because they love user feedback and ideas, because they love the whole collaborative effort of working with people to design pens that people want to use. So I pitched it to them through Facebook saying, hey, would there be a way to do a first responder series where you could do like a fire truck, an ambulance, and a police car? You know, do like a series honoring first responders. And they said, well, we can't tell you what we've got coming up, but something that you've requested is going to be a future release. So I'm hoping it's a fire truck, because Bill would love the Retro 51 fire engine pin. He would love that. So I'm hoping that's the one. But I may have hit on something with the first responders series, so I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. But the thing I like about these pins is they put down a thick line. I'm going to write what I usually write when I ink my pins. And I just love roller balls and gels are my second favorite kind of pins. But you can see here, I always write, does this pen write? Yes. But you can see it lays down a thick, rich line of ink. And every roller ball that I have from Retro 51 is that way. You can get the refills either through Retro 51, or you can use Parker rollerball ink fills or ballpoint refills that you can get like at Staples or Office Max. But I prefer and I think you can use Schmidt refills too, which you buy online. But look at how rich that ink lays down. That's just great. I love it. And Mike wrote me a little thank you note. But yeah, so that's my Retro 51 collection, and I would highly recommend them to people who want to collect pens, but they don't want to fuss with fountain pens, or they think fountain pens are too frou-frou-y, or they just want a nice, affordable pen that they can carry around all day, that has some flash to it that might get them noticed a little bit. You know, they're just fun pens. And I think it's great that they do the collaborations for charity, like the Buzz one. I mean, if you're into preserving the bees, you would love. I mean, even if you're not, it's a great pen. It's really cool looking. I probably won't get that one because I'm holding out to see if they do any other Americana pens. But, you know, if you want to support your local retailers by buying the special editions, or you want to support a charity, or you just really want a cool looking pen that's going to get you noticed in your next office meeting, I would highly recommend Retro 51s. Like I said, they go between like $35 and $50. The fountain pens are a bit more expensive, 60 to 70, I think, depending on which model you buy. But yeah, just a fun series of pens. So I hope this has helped you decide if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of pen collecting. And until next time, happy writing, and I will see you soon. Thank you.